anyway, about 4 years ago, Tori said he was going to have a workshop, and they were going to explore this idea of the really beefing up the education component and looking into community engagement programs, how to grow the programs. And he said, I think this has your name all over it. And I was like, really?
Well, you already you've had an entire career as an educator by that point.
I was like, So, and I had just completed my 26th year at the New York City Department of Ed. Right. At that point, 16 of those years actually 18 of those years, 18 of those years had been spent as an adaptive physical education teacher, which is physical education for special populations. And then 8 years as a New York City dance teacher, teaching dance education. I thought, well, I have 3 more years to go. I don't know if I'm going to make it to 30 years. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I thought, okay, let's look into this. Let's see what I can bring to the table. So that's the summer I was supposed to start teaching. I think I was supposed to start teaching with Rafa, but he could not make it. He was in Italy. So Tori said, you'll be fine. I went to SAGE, Senior Action in a Gay Environment, with older adults to teach the Dying Swan workshop, which was already in the education department of the Trocks. So within that first 5 minutes at SAGE of what I had planned for older adults, I threw out the entire lesson and started to adapt it just like I would when I was teaching adaptive phys ed to who was in the room.
Right.
I had planned a 40-minute bar with people in their 70s and 80s. I don't know how that ever would have worked out. But what I suddenly realized was that, well, my whole adaptive phys ed career and my dance teaching career kind of led to this moment that I had to suddenly change what I was doing, keep the topic, but adapt it and make sure that everyone in the room, no matter what their ability was, could access what I was doing and be able to feel like they were a vital part of it. I learned that afternoon was like this incredible experience. I learned so much about myself, about who I was. I learned about who these folks were in the room, these older adults, sort of the elders of the LGBTQ plus population. And it was like this whole full circle moment. And I also, when I was finished, I had never experienced this kind of teaching ever in the New York City Department of Ed, where I could be myself, who I was, and that I could just lose myself in teaching and communicating with other people. The one hysterical moment was at the end when the participants, I asked the participants what they thought, what was meaningful, and they turned around and said, well, what was meaningful for you? And I said, well, I'm thrilled that no one died. I didn't kill anybody during this. They were screaming. So it was really, it was a wonderful experience. And I thought, this is something I can do. This is.
Tori Dobrin was right, is what you're saying.
Tori Dobrin was right. Yes, of course. Yes. I guess he saw something in me that I didn't see or never thought of. And I never thought of it. Never.
Something to be said about our artistic director's observational capacities, as we all know. And in regards to how you're describing that first experience of teaching that very first workshop at Sage. Now that you've obviously been working, developing them, because we really didn't have a full infrastructure of workshops until you obviously started developing them. What would you say when you teach those Trocks workshops? What's most important for you to convey to the participants on behalf of the Trockadero?
Well, I try to adapt each lesson to specifically who's in the room. So whether it's older adults or young people, is that a good term? Young people.
Or no dancers versus dancers.
Well, young people at California, the homeless shelter, and also to adapt it to their needs, to make sure that because the main thing about Trockadero is that it's a chance to laugh, it's a chance to have fun, but I want to make sure that the lesson is accessible to everyone in that room, whether they are a non-dancer, someone who moves a little, or even a dancer, and that they can access the lesson and have fun and find out about themselves, what's funny, or explore different parts of themselves that they never would have explored before. I want to make sure that everyone can participate without any inhibition. So I make sure that it's a safe environment, it's a non-judgmental environment. I also, since I've been doing this, with the help of a lot of teaching friends, and yourself, and Liz and Tori, I always keep in the front of my mind, where's the fun? Is this fun? Is this fun? Is this going to be fun? I also start each workshop, I tell myself, I wonder what I will learn about the participants during this lesson. I wonder what I'll learn about the topic. Maybe there's something there's a point of view that maybe the participants have that I don't have, that will lead me to something else. I wonder, comedy, there's lots of gold in unexpected moments. So I would always wonder, I wonder what will happen unexpectedly during this workshop that'll be that'll be funny, hilarious, that'll be, make everyone laugh. I also want participants to come away feeling empowered. And I think one of the incredible things about the concept behind the company is that diversity, you're being a unique individual, is celebrated. However out there it is.
Rein it in a little bit, but yes.
Sometimes you have to rein it in, but however out there, but also with the fact that you do have to adhere to these guidelines.
Within the group. Yeah.
You have to work within the group. But I want each participant to be able to function and contribute to the whatever we're doing at the moment.
Right.
And that it matters to me, and that it's very important. It's very important.
And I think you leave this just from seeing you give these workshops, it's important what you do to leave the space open for these little moments to happen, right? Because if you constrict it so much, then you end up hindering that vein of creativity that the participant have.
I mean, there are some from teaching at. There was one moment where I was teaching with Robert Carter at California, and we were keeping it. We were following that lesson, and we were going to do it, and we were using very classical music, and Bobby whispered in my ear, and he said, "I think we need to change up the music." So we put on instead of doing the exercise, the activity, what we were doing, we changed it from this classical music to chandelier.
Yeah.
And these three people
Changed the mood.
that had been sleeping woke up. They were doing our activity, but we had three different versions of chandelier that brought down the, my, people were cheering and screaming. Even at Sage, I mean, I've had some very hysterical moments where I had one participant throw herself in another participant's wheelchair, and I thought, I very loudly said, let's be safe, let's be safe. But they kept going, and she slid down the wheel. Oh my God. Oh, we were howling. It was within the structure I had given for how we were creating a dance.
Right. So tell me, just tapping on from that story that obviously required that component of being in person with a group of people. We have just finished a 10-week workshop that you've just adapted fully to the virtual medium. What has been the biggest challenge in adjusting these Trocks workshops to the virtual reality that we find ourselves in, which you have very successfully done? I have had the privilege of seeing them happen, but what has been the most difficult thing?
You know, when you're in the room with folks, you can gauge, and with students, if you're in the teaching role, you can gauge what you're doing, and you can gauge how they're reacting to it, and you can adjust it and adapt it as you go along. So you always have, when you go in person, you always have plan A, B, C, and D. And then sometimes you go to plan W, X, Y, and Z. Now, virtually, you're not in the room with them. So you begin to wonder, how is this landing? How are they receiving it? And are they able to, can they access what the instruction is? And so what I've learned online is that you can have plan A, B, and C, D, and W, X, Y, Z. They have to be planned. They have to be thought out. Thinking on your feet in a virtual medium is hard because, as you said, it can also create dead space where there's just nothing happening, and that's a little deadly. So in preparing for the virtual workshop, it would take me twice as long to really go through it and think about it, trying out stuff with a timer to see how long it takes. How long will they take? But also to make sure that the objectives you want are beyond crystal clear, that they're very laser focused, and that they're almost like they're very concrete ideas. There's nothing woohoo happening out there. So it's concrete, it's laser focused, and then, it's still, you have to trust that it is landing, because there, in a room you could say any questions and you could see people about, but in this you have to suddenly start to look at the boxes to see, are people getting it, are they not getting it? And it really, I have to say, from doing this, the two series that we've done, there's always this like little doubt, which I kind of like try to go away, don't doubt. When you finally see the participants working in their space, then you say, oh, they got it. Okay. But it was crystal clear. I did it. I guess you have to address all these different kind of learning situations. I'm visually doing it for them, demonstrating it. They can look at the the steps online to remind themselves, and also to make everything very clear. So yeah, it's hard.
I mean,
It's a lot of fun, but
it's a different thing. It's a different thing.
Yeah,
right. So
go ahead.
I was going to say, we've been talking for 37 minutes already, so this has the potential for going on into a 2-hour chat. So I'm going to switch into quick fire mode here. Favorite piece of the Trocks rep and why?
I love Raimonda because of the ethnic steps, and somehow it taps into my Jewish background. I don't think Jewish people did those steps. I also learned a good lesson in Raimonda. The louder you stomp your foot, the louder the audience is going to laugh. You also will wind up with stress fractures in the bottom of your feet. So, and then Virginia, because I think Virginia really taught me the difference between slapstick and subtle comedy. And that if it's going to be slapstick, it has to be really choreographed so that the audience doesn't see what's happening. You know it's happening. And the most important thing is that if it's slapstick, that you don't get hurt.
Yeah. And Peter Anastas is so good at doing that choreographed slapstick that those certain Trocks pieces are known for,
Right. So, so it's this whole, and, I mean, I think in Virginia, because there was so much happening, that's where I made my most horrible, the audience thought it was part of it, but terrible mistakes. In the minute waltz, I decked my partner. I wound up on top of him on the floor. In the part where you jump rope, you go around a pole like a little kid, I knocked down the entire line of people. That's how I came at them with this force. Terrible.
All right. So I have one more question for you, but before I do that and we say goodbye, I do want to remind folks, as we've been doing in this Know Your Trocks series, that closures and cancellations due to the COVID-19 pandemic have really, really greatly disturbed the access to revenue for artists, dance companies, all arts organizations alike. So if you're enjoying the content that you're seeing in social media, a lot of which is free, and it is within your power to do so, please consider donating to your favorite arts organizations. They could really use your help this time. If you wish to donate to the Trocks, the best way to do so is by going to www.Trockadero/donate. You can also follow us on your favorite social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, where you can see what we're up to and trying to keep together during these pandemic times. But when we're back to seeing us, when we're back to touring, consider coming to see us live. It's really important for our performers. We enjoy doing the workshops virtually, but we really want to do them in person with you. So when the opportunity arises, please take advantage of it. Roy, before we say goodbye to people, how are you maintaining yourself sane during these pandemic times?
I make sure that I do something physical every day. Yoga, dance class, take a walk. I'm very lucky. I have my spouse, Larry, here. So we're together in this time. And we're grateful for each other and that we can put food on the table and that we have a home to live in. And to try to keep a little sense of humor and to turn off the news when it's just too much.
Which these days can sometimes be.
Can be, yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Roy, for the time you've taken. We try to keep this to 30 minutes, but we're going on 40 minutes. But I hope you stayed with us long enough that you've enjoyed it all. Stay safe. Something physical every day. Talk to your friends and family, and keep on trocking, everyone. Thank you, Roy.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.